everybody. We are
Mhm.
live. Yay. I always look
Hello.
forward to our monthly lives. I sometimes I get tempted about we need to do this more often. And then my overachiever needs to put it in a pocket. You are very busy ladies. I'm not going to ask for more favors. But however, I do look forward to this.
I do as well. It's always
And it's
great.
all about the anticipation. It's the anticipation.
That's right. Very much. Yes. And I have fun. It's like this is not it's not like some of my lives in the past. I've had phenomenal guests, 80% of them. Every once in a while I get a guest that used to just get like stage fright and would,
Yeah.
I'd ask a question, I'd get like a one-word answer. And you know this, right? You've all been on lives and other people's lives and had your own lives, and sometimes you think they're going to be phenomenal and all of a sudden they can't get a sentence out, right? I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to run the show, or it lasts for 15 minutes and I'm like, okay, we're ending now, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I've had the one word answers. It's funny now that I do these, I watch like television interviews with famous people. And today there was just one on Good Morning America, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're not very good at they're really bland. They need to spice it up some.
Right? Learn how to ask the right questions.
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny how actors sometimes aren't the best people to be interviewed.
Interviewees.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm pretty good at asking open-ended questions. I mean, that's what a coach does, right? So it's not like I'm asking yes or no questions. I'm asking open-ended questions, and sometimes the answers are just so like I say, 1 or 2 word answers, and I'm like, oh,
Right.
this is going to take a long time. So that doesn't happen here, obviously, right?
No. I feel like you almost have to shut us up sometimes, Tanya. Sorry.
Yeah. If you don't finish the question, we'll finish it for you and then answer.
Yeah. Yep. So we've got a LinkedIn user. So I want to say hello to the LinkedIn user. Your name didn't pop up. But hello, thanks for being here. So I know in our last live last month, we talked about setting goals, about knowing what our business models are, knowing our values, knowing what our plan is, and setting tactics. And we kind of did a deep dive on all of that, for ourselves, for the teams that we, for my clients, your teams, your clients. So I don't want to go into a deep dive with that. I kind of want to put a period on it. However, I have noticed something that, I know this has happened, but this year I'm more sensitive to it. And I know you have team members that probably struggle with this. So my question is, what do you think the struggle is for some people to put it in writing? Like, it's like pulling teeth. I have 33 clients that I currently coach that are in the real estate industry, not my others, right? In the real estate industry, I've got 33 clients, and I still have 2 plans I don't have. There's 2 that I'm waiting for. And I'm like, at this point, I'm going to be nagging, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you've experienced it either. I don't think with yourselves. I can't imagine either of you not setting, a plan and putting it in writing. But what do you think? I'm sure, Charlotte, you have a few, and Karen, you've had people in the past. Like, what do you think the struggle is for some people to put their vision on paper?
Yeah, the people that I can think of right off the top of my head, they just don't. It's a lot of times the people that go, right? So I don't know the 2 that haven't turned them in, but I bet they're the people that spin a bunch of things at the same time, and they're going a little bit more fly by the seat of your pants. So I would say that in order to write it down, and Karen, you're probably like this, when I go to write it down, I know that I need to time block, like I need a couple of hours, because even though I've thought about it and I kind of have an idea, I need a couple of hours to process it and actually have quiet time where I'm not distracted and I've got to slow down. So the people that I would say on my team that would struggle from that, if I didn't force them to come and do it with me. Oops.
Yeah.
Overbearing boss moment. But that would be their struggle. It would be, they're just going a million miles an hour, and that takes the back burner to all the fires and all the things that they're doing right then. That's my guess.
Okay, so being busy and time blocking, sure. Okay, what else? Karen, your turn. What else do you think it is?
Yeah, I also think people that are fearful, lack the confidence to put something down in writing and then not hit it, which to me is, I'm not good because I kind of get like, I'm a little bit sick about that. Like, I love it. Put a big number out there and let me just run for it. Even if I mean, I'm happy if I'm 75%, but I want 100 and 125. But I do see that with people that they are very timid. They want something that's really safe. And I will say, being coached by you, I know that we don't do 7s, we don't do 10s, and we don't do safe. So, if I was one of those people, I would probably be like really hesitant to write it down and give it to you, because if I write my safe number down, you're going to put it right back at me.
Yeah.
Which is good. Thank you. That's why we have you.
You're welcome. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, maybe I need to soften my approach. And no, I'm not. And no, you're both, there's no wrong answer here for some people. So I'm going to put in there's more accountability when you write it down, and some people, right? So if they, like you said, Karen, it's safe if I keep it in my head, right? Then nobody's going to know if I fail. The only person that's going to know is me. Right. So here's one.
I had my team fill out their numbers first, like before we even had the meeting, and they had no problem filling out the sheet. Like, what are my goals for my numbers? What are how many units? Blah blah blah. Real quick, shot that out to me. But when we sat down, I'm like, okay, why did you put that? They looked at me like I had 7 eyes. Like, what do you mean why? I'm like, well, why did you make that goal? What is it tied to? Why do you want to hit that number? Or how are you going to get there? They were just throwing things down. So I think there's another part, like there's some people that'll just throw things down on paper and not think about the why. I'm satisfying my coach or my manager that I'm throwing some numbers on paper that I know is what they want to see.
Charlotte, who's carrying the whip, I've got to make sure I put something down, right? So Charlotte, can I give you a recommendation? Charlotte, I'm going to give you a recommendation on a question. Whoops, I don't know if you're here or not, Charlotte, so I'm going to just say it for anybody who's listening. Ask the question instead of why. Ask what's important to you about that goal. Ask them what's important to them about whatever it is you're talking about. It's a safer question. It's easier to answer because some people feel embarrassed or may not even know exactly what their why is, which is, again, another whole coaching call and to figure that out. What's important to you about that? And thank you, Rachel. Charlotte's not feeling well and she's on her phone. So my guess is that internet went out, or she hopefully did not pass out in her car.
I'm here. I'm that strange voice. I had to turn off my video again. I'm sorry. It was cutting out really bad.
So Charlotte, that's the question I'd ask. What's important to you about that? Super short and sweet. What's important? It might be easier to answer. Yeah. Okay. So the three of us can high five each other, right? We've done our goals, right? We have our plan, and now that we have 365 days to execute it.
Yep. I'm excited.
That's a lot of days.
Goes fast.
Yeah. All right. So let's go into great point. Important. Yes. Let me put that up on the screen. So let's go into 2025. And so my first question on to 2025 is, what's your boldest prediction for the housing market in 2025? I know we don't have a crystal ball. Man, that would be fun if we did, wouldn't it?
Awesome.
A lot less stressful anyway. I don't know if it's fun, but a lot less stressful. So Karen, you go first.
So I think that we are going to have more transactions than we did this last year. And I think it's going to be a big move. I want to say close to 20% more, which is going to keep us busy. However, I also feel that it's going to be different than it's been in the past when it's a fast, busy market. I feel like this is going to be a more intentional and professionals market. There are so many people that have been on the sidelines for a while, waiting to buy a house, either waiting for rates to come down, waiting for the right house to come available, all of the things. And I feel that buyers and sellers both are going to be moving with a little more intention than in the past, and that it's going to be more about the appropriate home as opposed to just the investment side of it, right? So when rates were low and the market was moving fast, I had buyers that weren't putting a lot of thought into anything because it didn't matter. It was going to go up in value and they'd buy another one in another year. You know, that whole
Yep.
kind of market to me is gone. And I think that we're going to see a very busy market, and it's going to be definitely a market for professionals. More of an advisor role.
Yes.
Which I'm excited about.
Yeah. And yes. And I love that point. More of an advisor role, a professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't give, and Charlotte, well, you know, I'm going to circle back, Karen. I'll let Charlotte take a turn because I know in case Charlotte wants to log off, and then I'm going to come back to another question around what you just said. But Charlotte, how about you? Your boldest prediction for 2025?
Yeah, I think, can I just go to the lending side of that for a second?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I think we are going to see a lot of acquisition and movement in the lending world. I'm starting to feel it a little bit now. Some of these companies that have been, we've had such margin compression in the lending world over the last couple of years, and some companies have not buttoned up. They are, we're seeing things where they're running with still very high expenses and not having to have minimum production. And I think we're going to see some lenders get out of the business because they don't do enough production for a company to keep them. I think we're going to see lending be acquisition by other lenders because they haven't run a tight ship. And I think we're going to see, similar to what you said, Karen, I think we are going to see the professional, the better. I bet you, here's my bet. I bet you that the national average for what a loan officer closes is going to go up by, I'm going to say 30% next year, because those low hanging fruits, the people that don't do much, I don't believe there's going to be a place for them in this market next year.
Interesting. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I know this is not a question coming from me. However, I know people ask all the time. I see it all over social media. What do you think is going to happen to interest rates? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you answer that question when someone asks you that?
Yeah, the quick and easy answer is I don't know, but the people that I listen to that are much smarter than me, that know all the markets, that watch everything, they've been trying to predict the market shift downwards for a year and a half, and I think they've given up. So for a year and a half, they're like, in June it's going to be better, in October it's going to be better, in January it's going to be better. So now they're saying it's probably going to stay about the same in 2025. We're probably not going to see it change. So I don't know if that's because they're sick of trying to predict the dip and they're just going to say they're like, okay, we give up, we can't predict it.
Yeah.
But most of the people who have been predicting, which they have been predicting wrong for the last 2 years, just go ahead and throw that out there. These are not dummies. These are, we just are in uncharted territory, but they're expecting rates to stay in the sixes for most of 2025, which if they stay put, I'd much rather take that than the up and up and up that we were seeing in 2024. So I would love to see the fives again, but if we stay steady at six, I'm not scared of that. I think we could keep on with Karen's plan of a bigger year if that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, considering that I'm in the process of buying a home, I'd love it. I would, believe me, from your mouth to the lending God's ears, go to 5. However, I'm perfectly fine with my, 6%, 6.5 interest rate. Right? It is what it is, and I think people are settling into it. Right? I agree. I don't think people are waiting anymore I'm not going to say everybody. But for the most part, people aren't waiting for it to get to the 4s or even the 5s, at this point. You, Karen, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, we have a couple of things that have happened. One of them being the consumer debt has been rising now for about 18 months, right? And some of that is being temporarily remedied by refinancing. And refinancing means that their great rate is going away while they pull some cash out to envelope all of these bills into one payment. And so those people who no longer have the love your rate piece going on. Right. And then we also have some we have pent up buyers and sellers and reasons that the market needs to move on a regular basis, like marriage and divorce and death and birth and all of those circumstances that some people have managed to sort of hang on to because of the rate that just either can't hang on anymore or don't want to. They're finally choosing to walk away from that rate and get into the proper home, the proper, neighborhood, town, whatever. So yeah, you can only do that for so long. I really believe, and we talked about this backstage, and I'm happy to repeat some of the statistics that were talked
Sure,
about
go for it. Yeah.
recently. Yeah, but I really think that a lot of what we're seeing is still what I would call the wake of the pandemic, right? So there was so much movement during the pandemic that I don't think was planned ahead of time. However, there was an opportunity and people took advantage of it. And then when rates went up and people were not working from home and now they're going back to work, all of these things that are changing in our world that had been the same for decades and now are not. I think we're still kind of seeing the wake of that sort of thing. So some of the numbers, and I was taking quick notes, so we'll see if I can read my writing, but examining last year's statistics, we had a lot of record highs and record lows for statistics. So as an example, the average age of a first-time home buyer for years has been 35. And we've always really targeted that market. Well, last year it moved up to 38. And it's only 3 years, but when you look at it on a percentage rate, that's a large percentage moved up. And then when you look at the fact that the family unit generally starts at about age 26. So when I mean family, I mean people starting to either live together, get married, have kids.
Right, have babies.
Right. They start to form a family unit. So if and that number hasn't changed. So that's at 26. And instead of buying a house in 9 years, now they're buying one in 12 years. That changes things a lot.
Yep, it does.
So the other thing is we have in that group from 26 to 38, we have 62 million people in the nation. So that's a huge number of people outside of, being in a first-time home buyer market. Another thing that was kind of interesting to me was the median age of a buyer went up from 49 to 56. So again, very different. That was the highest age it's ever been for the median buyer. So again, it's so many statistics that were the highest or the lowest since we've been keeping track of this. 73% of all buyers last year have no one under the age of 18 living with them. Wow. 73%. That's huge, right? So if you think about that, a lot of the sellers market we talk about all of the time, being seasonal around the school year and that sort of thing. This is a statistic that tells us that's not necessarily the part of the market that's really moving it, right? And again, highest it's ever been. 26% of all transactions were cash. 17% were multi-generational. All of those are highest records. Let's see, what was another really interesting? Well, we had the oldest average for the age of sellers was 63. FSBOs was the lowest it's been, down at 6%, usually hovers around 12%. That one was super interesting to me.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I don't see FSBO signs the way I used to.
And for a year when the media has been talking about, how agents can't be trusted and, all the things that were coming up about the NAR lawsuit. And I don't mean to say that all the media was saying that, but there was a lot of it that was saying that. It's interesting that FSBOs went down, which is, leads into my comment about the professionals market coming, right? So part of what I think a lot of the news that's been out there has actually scared people into thinking that they probably feel they need an agent more now than ever before.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and I obviously believe that they need to have an agent. I don't want them to feel scared. However, it is wise to have an agent. So yay for that number. All right, we'll get back, but let me go back to the question because you brought it up about the professionals, and I'm going to let Charlotte go first for as long as, because I know Charlotte, you still here, yeah?
Yeah, I had to jump off and come back on. I'm telling you, internet connection in Kentucky, girls.
Yep, I know. So I'm just double checking before I ask a non-person, right? So I love Karen's point about, this is a professionals market, and we need to have professionals, out there representing people, right? However, both of you have, and myself included, right? I have some clients that are brand new in real estate, right? So Karen, you're recruiting new agents. Charlotte, you'll recruit a new lender. So Charlotte first, how do you help someone who's new when they hear something like, you need to hire someone who's a professional, who knows what they do? How do we give them confidence and not let imposter syndrome and fear come into them as they're starting a new business? So, what do you do, Charlotte? Although I'll do a brag in a minute, but you go first.
I would say that, I mean, the only way we would take on somebody that was new with my group and honestly with my company is with true mentorship. So they become a junior. And I think that we see that, right? We see these teams being formed, and really to get in, it's almost like an apprenticeship. And
Yep.
you need that. And lending, oh my goodness, the people that just go out there and do lending without having that training and that apprenticeship and that mentorship, that I get them sometimes after that, and I'm like, yeah, we're starting over. We're starting over. So yeah, the only way that we would do anything like that is to bring somebody on as almost like an apprentice. You're
Yep.
going to be under someone else. You're not going to make any decisions. You're not writing a pre-qualification letter without the senior looking at it. I mean, you've got to learn and take that time. So, but that gives them confidence, because then they can go out and sell and say, hey, yeah, I'm new, but you're going to get my energy, my spunk, all of my passion, and you're going to get the wisdom of my mentor, which is a great place to be.
Yeah, interesting. Some of the brag is, and a huge thank you, Charlotte. Charlotte just sent me a referral for a lender who's not new, but newer. And one of her comments was, it's so cool, the mentorship she gets from Charlotte, right? So, and we've already had our first coach call, so it's amazing. She'll be fine, right? She's going to be better than fine. So thank you, Charlotte. So Karen, obviously when you're recruiting, you have brand new agents come to you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What do you do to help them overcome oh my gosh, I just heard all this stuff about how I need to be, I mean, I know they're professional. However, I'm saying professional in knowledge, right? And time, not how they look, right?
Right.
How do you help them?
So first thing I do is ask them to put into their daily routine time for daily news, daily industry news, whether it's a podcast or some paper that they're following. And that has to be, in my opinion, a regular, because it gives you confidence and it gives you talking points. And I think that that's really important. And then same thing with what Charlotte says too, is mentorship. And I tell my agents, we are a team. So when it's time to go on a listing appointment, I'm going with you. And when it's time to meet with a buyer, I'm going with you, and I'll be here for you all of the way. And I can't even imagine what that would have been like when I started as an agent, and had to just wing it.
Right. Absolutely. Me too. Yeah.
I did it, but I think to myself, man, if my broker would have said, "Hey, I'll go with you on your listing appointment," it just would have felt so much better about it.
Yeah.
So, and there's no better way to teach somebody, right? So one other little thing that I do, have offered to do, and not everyone takes me up on it, but I'll just put my phone in my purse and have it on a call with them while I'm with my clients showing property. And of course, my clients know, because they need to know. That's important, but just so that they can hear how the dialogue goes and hear how the answers go, right? So,
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So I don't want anybody to be fearful of starting out or just getting licensed or having to relocate, right, and get a license again. I have a client right now who's relocating from California to New Jersey. And, it's like, well, I'm going to be brand new. I'm like, you're going into this with over 25 years experience. You are not brand new.
Nope.
Right. So it's mindset. Yes.
Yeah. The only thing you're new at is building a new database. That is it.
That's
the rest
right.
of it. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. So just on a side note, I find this really interesting. In the two states that I'm licensed in, California and Idaho, in order to be an appraiser, you have to take a course. You have to pass an exam like we do for lending and for real estate. You also have to have 2,000 hours apprenticeship under a licensed appraiser before you can become one, right? So you take the person in the transaction who's earning the least amount of money, and they have the highest requirements. And so for us, it's not a requirement, but we see the value in that. right? So we just bring it naturally on for our team.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things with coaching too. In my coaching profession, yes, somebody can hang a sign up on their door and say, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
And that's one of my biggest pet peeves, because that's not where a lot of us coaches, I'm spent hours and years getting certified and getting, in fact, Karen, you were one of the people that, remember, I had to ask permission to record some of our calls because I had to send it in to my mentor. And I've just now this year in 2024 qualified to become a master coach because I needed to have 5,000 hours, and I hit 5,000 hours of coaching this year, and I'm now considered a master coach, but it's by hours, right?
Wow.
However, there are people that just hang their license and say, hey, I'm a coach. And yeah, I would steer clear from that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the mentorship is important in any industry.
Yep.
Really.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Cool. So a fun question. Let's play Real Estate Santa. And if you could gift a buyer or a seller, you get to pick, or maybe it's both, depending on your gift. One gift for 2025. What would you gift a buyer or a seller in 2025? Being Real Estate Santa. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead,
I'll go
Charlotte.
first. I thought about this, and it's for the buyers because, of course, those are my
Yes,
clients.
for you it would be yes.
I'm glad that people are selling, but the buyers. I would like to do a cost of living raise that is equivalent to the interest rate hike. So how about we triple what everybody's getting for their cost of living raise this year? That would be my Santa gift. That way the affordability index is much easier for my clients to buy houses.
Yeah. I love
You're
that
much
gift.
better Santa than I am, Charlotte.
Santa's giving lots of money.
So how would that work for me? If for that to work for me, I'd have to raise all your guys' coaching fees.
I think that's it. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right.
So I'm
Gotta
not sure
have a
that
cost
would
of
be a
living
gift for
raise.
you guys, though. Not sure.
There was a
We're getting
statistic.
that raise too, so it's okay.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Okay.
That's true. A statistic was just released that, and this, of course, is an average, in San Francisco Bay Area, income for purchasing a home is $320,000 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big wow. So what I would give, and this is readily admit that Charlotte's a much better Santa than I am. I would give them all. I would give them all listening ears with filters. And the listening ears would be, it's like I ask my 4-year-old grandson all the time. I'm like, where are your listening ears? And he goes like this. And then he tunes in, right? Get them to tune into what their professionals are telling them and not what their neighbor, aunt,
Uncle Joe.
Yeah, not that they can't listen to those people, but put that into perspective to help them, not because, I don't want to have to repeat myself 40 times, but to help them. And same thing with sellers, there's so much to be done before a buyer or a seller is really ready. However, in order to understand that and start moving through the steps, they need listening ears. So that's what Santa's bag would be full of.
That'd be really cool. I love that. You guys put some thought into that question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be more popular, Karen. I got the popularity on that one.
Definitely think so. You like Santa?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Karen. If I have to vote, I pick Charlotte too. As a coach, I love listening ears, by the way, right? But as a consumer, I'm going with Charlotte. As a coach, I'm going with you.
Yeah. As a recipient of a Santa gift, I'm going with Charlotte too.
Guys, I'm going to head off here and hit the road. You guys have a wonderful time. We'll see you better next time with better internet service.
Yeah, have some hot tea with honey tonight.
All right, will do.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was really kind of her and sweet of her to hop on, even though she doesn't feel good. Poor thing.
Yeah.
It's no fun being sick this time of year.
It is not a good time.
So I'm going to do a brag on Karen. So if anyone's in the Idaho area, Northern California area, and you're thinking, and you're a real estate agent, or yes, you're a buyer and seller, sure. However, I'm going to put your broker hat on. right? Because sometimes we forget, or we're going down real estate and buying and selling, and I want people to know that you're also a broker, and that, you know, you have a phenomenal brokerage for real estate agents to connect with you with. Somebody today tagged me on a post in Facebook, and they're with EXP. And again, no negativity whatsoever. They're with EXP and tagged me because with EXP, right, they were asking their realtors to recruit for them, right? So it's like, Tanya, I know you know a lot of realtors. You know, who do you know that you can get to tell your, you know, agents to come to EXP? And I private messaged her and said, you know, as a real estate coach, I am not, I can't say everybody needs to go to EXP, or, right. It's just everybody I coach. I mean, I have people at Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Rock and Associates, right? So I am not going to sit here and say which one, other than yours. If they're in your area, they need to, you know, at least connect with you and see if it's a good fit, because it may not be, but I doubt it.
Right. No, I agree. I think that well, obviously, you know our model, you know how we run. So
Yes.
I think that you would refer the proper people to us.
Yep.
And, you know, as long as it's somebody that wants to do business, business, and is ethical, we could probably work together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know how much effort and work and care and authentic care you put into each and every one of your realtors, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's been to your detriment, right?
Yes.
I mean, I coach other brokers, same thing. It's like, especially if you're still a producing agent, right? You are, a couple of my other brokers are, and they need to also put their realtor hat on sometimes too.
Right. Yes.
Right. So, I mean, that's a common, you know, the devil that, you know, kind of thing, right? That, yes, I want to help you want to help your realtors, and I need to say, okay, but where's your real estate hat on too? Don't forget it.
Yeah. You know, I have been, I'm going to say, blessed in this business, and I know the blessing comes from hard work. So it didn't just land in
I was going to say it if you didn't. Yeah.
I worked for it. And so when I see people that I think can do it, it's really hard for me to sit by and watch them not do it.
I know.
Right. And as you know, that's something I'm learning. You know, and I've had people tell me, well, you know, you have a significant other, or whatever they want to tell me. And it's like, well, I didn't at the time when I started this. You know, I basically jumped off of a 20-story building and grew my wings on the way down. Otherwise there was going to be a flat.
Right. You and I both, we have a very similar story, right?
We don't. And I don't necessarily recommend that method, but it worked for me, you know?
Well, yes, like I all of a sudden found myself single with two young teenagers with, you know, $200 a month in child support. I'm sorry, $200 a month in child support. Barely fed them for 1 week, right?
Yeah,
and I had to make it work.
Yes.
Right. And so sometimes having our backs against the wall is what makes us go forward, because we, you know, yes, I could have gone further backwards if I wanted to, but no. Right. So, and either for you, right. So yes, we figured it out before we hit the bottom, and we did not go splat.
No, exactly.
Yay.
And yay, it's right. And so that's where I, you know, sometimes I tell my story to agents too, hoping that it will impact them. However, as you mentioned, at a certain point, sometimes people they just don't have that in them, or they don't have it in them at this time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you know,
that's my biggest struggle, is not reaching into the phone or into the Zoom room and say, would you please, right? I know you can do it.
Yeah.
I can't make
it'd be great if there was a challenge that you could say, like, okay, do this for 30 days and then let's talk. However, if they don't have the confidence, you know, or that drive going through the motions, it won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And the numbers don't lie. That's one of the reasons I love real estate coaching or business owner coaching, because I do this with my roofer and other business owners. We look at the numbers. And, you know, what's your database look like? How many people, you know, you want to sell so many homes, or you want to fix so many roofs or re-roof or whatever. It's a numbers game, and the numbers don't lie. So if someone's saying to me, yes, I'm working every day, and they have no business, they're not working.
No. Well,
I know that's hard. They're not
it is
working.
hard. Yeah, I agree. They're not working, and they probably need to adjust what they consider working, because they might be sitting in front of their computer for hours, which is not real estate work.
Right. No.
They might, yeah. They might
Well,
be
you know
doing
my
the
saying, would you hire yourself or would you fire yourself? If you
Right.
look down at your business for the last 30 days or 1 week and saw what you were doing to grow your business, right? Grow your sphere, grow your connections, grow your the power of who. What are you doing to grow your business, right? Are you asking for business, right?
Yeah, right.
Would you hire yourself and fire yourself? And I get a lot of fires, or at
Yeah.
least in a performance improvement plan.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and I think it's a great question. Because if it doesn't wake somebody up to see that they need to change what they're doing, there's not much more you can do. However, I think most of us wake up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, most of
Yeah.
us see that.
Yeah.
So can I tell a quick little story?
Yeah, let me say hi to Dawn and let Dawn
Okay.
know that Charlotte was on, but she had to go off because of her internet connection. But hi, Dawn. Okay, go tell the story.
Oh, I just when you said the power of who, it kind of like sparked
Mhm.
my memory. And this wasn't necessarily about who, although I learned it from the power of who. So the power of who is that, in a nutshell, we know everyone that we need to know, because although I may not know the person out here I actually need to be in touch with, I probably know someone who knows someone who knows someone,
Right.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
However, if we don't ask, we'll never know who knows them. And then, also along that line, Bob Bodine talks about, like, why not give people the opportunity to gift to you, right?
I love that point. Yep.
Me too. I'm a giver. And when someone asks me, hey, can you recommend a restaurant? I'm like so excited. I'm like, oh, here's the list. Start here, go there. Let me know how it goes. And so, he talks about, well, let someone else do that for you too, right? There's other givers out there. And so ask. So I have gotten a lot better about asking. So I had a situation recently where I had a decent donation to make on behalf of someone else, not myself. But it wasn't like it wasn't moving the needle. But I wanted the impact for the donation for the people that were giving it. So I messaged an organization online out of the blue. I'm like, here's who I am. Here's the story. Here's what I'm looking for. Can you help? And a little bit of time went by and they connected me with someone in the organization. And then a little bit of time went by and we're kind of emailing, and then that person went on maternity leave and I got pushed off to someone else. Then we're kind of emailing, that person went to vacation, but I just kept it going. And all of a sudden we end up in the home of two very high profile people. If you Google their name, they're up there. In not just in the organization, but just in their life. One is a country singer. One is a sports professional agent for some major names. And we end up with an invitation to come over to their home and give this gift. And I just was blown away. And right as we got to the end of it, I remember thinking to myself, oh, no, we don't need to come to your house. It's okay, right? And I thought, no, this is what you've been asking for. Just keep going. The most gracious people, the experience was unbelievable. The people that I was taking with me are young, so the impact on them was huge. And it was the whole 9 yards, with the picture, with the check and all the stuff. And it's so amazing.
So cool.
So very, very, very cool. And I will give a shout out to the organization because I think it's important. It's Tunnels to Towers, which is a huge organization, like took the time to invite us into their home,
Nice.
to have this
So
impact.
what do they do? What is the organization? I have not heard of it.
Okay, Tunnels to Towers builds homes, remodels homes, and pays off mortgages for injured veterans and first responders, and then also for the families for left behind by someone being their life being taken in the field. And it started with 9/11. And the brother, Frank, I wish I could remember Frank's last name right now, who started it, his brother died at the towers. And his brother was a first responder, and he was trying to get in there. And every road that he took to get in to try and help was blocked off. So he finally left his vehicle at a tunnel in New York, and that's the tunnel to Towers.
Tunnel, yep.
Towers, with 60 pounds on his back, all of his gear to go help people, and he ended up dying there. And so he started this foundation, and the homes that they modify for injured people is unbelievable. It's very cool. You'll see their commercials now that we've talked about it, right? It'll come to mind. One of the most impactful things to me was that 95.1% of donations go directly to the benefactors. They go directly to people in need, which is a huge percentage.
That's huge.
I've never seen anything like that. So
nice.
This is an enormous organization that's been around for we're talking 23 years now. And again, they were just so gracious and open to help give the impact to these individuals. So
nice.
That's my Power of Who story. Just, giving people the opportunity to gift you. And that was that point where I almost kind of said, was like, oh no, we don't have to come to your house. Cause I was almost ready to not allow them to gift us, what we were asking for. Right.
Thank goodness you did. I would have cut you at the shins.
I know you would have. Especially since I missed our coach.
I would have cut you. I would have kicked you. Yes. Yes. And those self-limiting beliefs are real. It's a totally different level story. But I had a coach call yesterday where a client, and we were talking about the power of who, right? And so we're plugging Bob Beaudine's book, The Power of Who. And actually I have a client who has a team and asked, what book shall I gift my team this year? And that's the one I recommended.
Yeah.
Because it is a great book. And my client is listing a home on the other side of his town. And so I said, remind, the 5 steps to duplicate a listing, right? One of the steps is to let your database, your sphere, your people, your who's, I'm going to sound like Dr. Seuss in a minute, but let your who's know and gift them, hey, I want you to have first dibs because he got a listing coming up, right? So, and the response, which is a very common response, is my sphere lives on the other side of town. They don't want to move there. They don't know anybody who's going to move there. And that's self-limiting, right? Because you never know who they know. Or maybe it's near a hospital or near a university and their kid is going there and they want a little condo for their kid. You never know.
Never know.
The power of Hue is huge.
It is huge. And the thought that you could be gifting 2 who's, right? Because you could be gifting your database gets to give you a referral and they get to help somebody out that they know. Like it's a win-win.
It is.
Right. So, I know.
Yeah.
Asking questions, talking out loud.
Yep.
Get
talking
it out of the head.
And listening, right? Because there are some people are going to listen and hear you when you say, hey, who do you know that wants to move over there? Right. And if they're listening, the more and more I coach and more I have people come back and go, oh my goodness, they actually knew somebody. I
know. You just don't ever know. So we're going to head out of here and go celebrate Mike's birthday.
Yes, please go. And thank you. We always go over. So yes, thank you. Happy birthday to Mike. Go have fun.
Thank you. All right.
Go enjoy your 39th, Mike.
Thank you. And thank you for babysitting Karen for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Love you, guys.
Bye.